So let me get this straight. Dodge is saying that they're going to kill the Trackhawk. They're going to kill the Ram TRX. They're going to kill the Durango Hellcat, Charger Hellcat, Challenger Hellcat, the Red Eye Hellcat, the Jailbreak Hellcat, all in the next year. That makes no sense. Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? It is your boy Knockout360 here with another video for you guys. As you can tell, I'm in the car. That makes this a car vlog. You already know what's going down. When I come around, let's get into it. Car content, car shows, car reviews, car meets. Anything and everything car related happens on this channel, right? So if you're into that, make sure that you stick around because you're in the right place. For everyone else, hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so that you know what's coming out and when it's coming out, right? So boom. So a couple days ago, like I said in my previous video, I went to Dodge dealership and I had my oil change, tire rotation, the whole nine, you know, basic spiel or whatever. I go up there, I get all that taken care of. I see my homegirl up there who actually sold me this car and sold me my previous Charger, right? So I'm up there and I'm talking to her while I'm waiting on my car to get taken care of. And I say to her, my biggest thing is I want to make sure that I get a Hellcat before they're all gone. Because allegedly, they're supposed to be gone in 1 year's time. Like, it's 2022. They're supposed to be dead by next year, 2023. I don't know if you guys have came to that conclusion, but literally this time next year, the Hellcat should be either dead or dying. The most powerful engine that Dodge has ever produced, the most profitable engine that Dodge has ever produced, the most performance-based engine that Dodge had ever produced, the engine that literally made Dodge relevant in this day and age. They're going to kill it in 1 year's time. And the best that they're going to offer us is an all-electric muscle car that we have no idea what it's going to look like, what it's going to perform like, what the interior looks like, any of that. We obviously know it's not going to sound like anything because it's electric. But anyway, I'm talking to her and I told her, you know, my biggest thing is I just want to make sure I get my Hellcat before they're all gone. Or I want to get my Hellcat ASAP before 2023, which is the last year that they're supposed to be produced, and then they jack up the price 10, 15, 20,000 over MSRP because they know everybody's trying to get that last year. And she says, you know, honestly, I don't think Dodge is going to kill the Hellcat engine in a year. Eventually, yes, because if they're coming out with the all-electric muscle car that's supposed to be producing all of this power and supposed to lead the way into the future, quite naturally, it wouldn't make sense to have that engine or that battery-powered machine next to a big V8. I understand that. But she says, I don't think that they're going to kill it next year. That makes no sense. And I say, why? She says, that Hellcat engine is the most profitable engine that Dodge has ever produced. I'm about to literally reiterate everything I said at the beginning of the video. It's the most profitable engine that Dodge has ever produced. It's the most powerful engine that Dodge has ever produced. It's the reason that people mention Dodge nowadays. Let's be honest here. Nobody mentions Dodge for their luxury. Nobody mentions Dodge for their technological advancements with the automobile. The same car that I'm sitting in right now, a 2020 wide body, looks the exact same interior-wise and technology-wise as the 2015 V6 that I had, right? Nobody mentions Dodge for their luxury, their comfort, their gas efficiency, none of that. Honestly, people don't even mention Dodge for the design. Like, a lot of people kind of teeter-totter with the design of the Charger and the Challenger. Let's be honest here. The Challenger is nothing but a big brick on wheels. Let's be honest here. The Charger, a little more elegant, a little more refined, but it's still very much so a big V8 four-door sedan. You know, let's keep it real. It's a sedan. And when you do the math, like, people compare the Charger to like the Toyota Camry and the Honda Accord and big like the Lincoln, whatever they got, the Lincoln Continental. Well, not maybe not the Lincoln Continental because I think that's like American luxury, but they compare the Charger to other four-door sedans. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like Dodge is in a league of its own when it comes to the design. It's not like Dodge is in a league of its own when it comes to luxury. People specifically talk about Dodge because of that big V8, whether it's the 392 putting down 485, or it's the Hellcat putting down 717, Red Eye 797, Jailbreak 807, Demon 840. That's what Dodge represents, is the power. And to get rid of all of that literally in 1 year's time makes no sense whatsoever. That's like Apple getting rid of the iPhone. You know what I'm saying? That's like Gatorade getting rid of their juice. You know what I'm saying? And they just want to produce like fruit bars or something like that, candy bars, protein bars. They're getting rid of the drink itself. That makes no sense. That's your pride and joy. That's your bread and butter. And I'm talking to her and she's like, you know, I've been in my meetings and all that stuff here recently, and she hasn't heard anything about the end of the Hellcat. Now, this is coming directly from the top. You know what I'm saying? And when I say that, to say like me, I'm speculating. I am a spectator. I'm a consumer, obviously. But at the end of the day, the same information that I give to you guys is literally what you yourself can find online. I mean, through the power of iPhones, through the power of social media, you guys can know just as much as I do, right? I'm not privy to anything that you guys are not. Her, on the other hand, is a different story. Not only does she work for Dodge, but she's in the meetings with these corporate Dodge guys. You know what I'm saying? I don't think she's talking to Tim Kaninskis directly, but needless to say, she gets the word from his people. No meetings as of right now that she's been in has mentioned anything about the end of the Hellcat engine. Nothing about the end of the Hemi engine to begin with, but the Hellcat more specifically. All they have been talking about is the numbers for 2022, the numbers for the new generations that they got coming out with the Jailbreak coming out, the numbers with the Durango Hellcat. They're really focused on the TRX Hellcat, right? They want to move those cars as much as they can because those are the creme de la creme. Those are the most expensive trims. That's what they've been talking to her about, and her team and everyone that works at Dodge about. And I talked to another one of my homeboys that works for Dodge, works in Lake Norman. He said the same thing. All they have been talking about is just the basic run-of-the-mill numbers, making sure that they're meeting their numbers, making sure that they're fulfilling their orders as much as possible. They are not talking about whatsoever getting rid of the Hellcat or the Hemi engine. That's something that you would think that they may disclose to the people that's actually selling these cars so that you can maybe light some fire under your customers, right? So if I'm a customer and I come in and I say, I want a Hellcat, I don't know if I want to wait and get it next year or get it now, that's when you, based off the knowledge that you know about the Hellcat and the Hemi being dead or ending soon, that's when you, as the salesperson, says, listen, between me and you, these cars are adios in 2 years, in 1 year time, 365 days, they're dead. You really need to act fast, because if you don't get you a 2022 or even a 21 and you wait till 23, the last year, the MSRP is going through the roof, because that's going to be the assumed last year. So as a salesperson, that allows you to create a sense of urgency, to light a fire under the consumer's ass, to say, listen, if you don't get a Hellcat now, you may never get a Hellcat. Or when you do, it'll be $10, $15, $20, $30,000 over MSRP. So you really need to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? She's telling me, and my dude in Lake Norman is telling me the same thing, that none of these meetings have consisted of anything regarding the Hellcat being dead in 23 or the Hemi being dead in 23. I've been making videos about the Hellcat and the Hemi being dead in the next year, and that's just because that's what the headlines have been saying. That's what the news publications have been saying. That's what the social media has been saying. But it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I understand that we're moving towards an electric future. That's just the reality of it. Gas-powered engines are going to die. There's no question about that. V8s are going to be the first to die, because they're the worst of the worst, right? They're literally the reason that that's literally the reason why they're pushing so hard to get the electrified engines and electrified cars on the market, is because of V8s and how terrible V8s are for the environment, how, gas inefficient they are, and how much oil and gas and all that stuff has to be, on hand and all that good stuff. And just like, if you know anything about Hellcats and Scat Packs and Dodge in general, those guys have to pay a huge fine every year to the Department of Transportation because of gas guzzler tax, shit like that. They get fined, they get penalized for that. I heard that they got recently huge penalty for the Durango Hellcat, because there's really just no reason for it. There's no reason for a 700 horsepower, 7-seater, 3-row SUV. They got penalized for that. They got penalized for the TRX. And to my understanding, every year they've been penalized for the Charger and Challenger Hellcat. So I'm assuming that they're looking at the numbers and saying, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to produce this kind of power, give our consumers the look, and still fall in compliance with our government. So needless to say, the V8 will die. I'm telling you that now. The V8 will be dead. The gas-powered engine will die at some point. Next year, though, I don't think so. I don't think Dodge is getting rid of the Hellcat engine in a year's time. I don't think they're getting rid of the Hemi engine in a year and a half's time. That makes no sense whatsoever. I don't even want to speculate. I mean, we know what we know, that they're supposed to be dropping the all-electric, muscle car in 24. Publications have been saying that the Hemi is going to be dead in 24, or a little sooner than that. The Hellcat will be dead in 23. I don't think anything official has come down from Tim Kuniskis, the CEO of Dodge. But it makes no sense whatsoever. The reason that Dodge is even in the conversation is because of that Hellcat engine. I mean, the SRT 8 Charger and Challenger that came out in 2014 was cool. The SRT 10 Rams that came out back in the day, those were cool. Hell, they even had an SRT 4 Dodge Neon. Those were cool. Have you ever thought about this? Why don't they, I don't think the Dart is an SRT. It doesn't have an SRT variant. I know they don't make the Dart anymore, but you would think that they would have given the Dart like a SRT 6 or something like that. I don't know. That's another topic for another day. But the SRT line was cool. 2014, I think the Charger and Challenger SRT 8s was putting down like, what, 475 horsepower? Respectable. I mean, underpowered, grossly underpowered compared to what we see today, but respectable. Nobody was talking about Dodge back then the way that they're talking about Dodge now. The reason being, the Hellcat. You feel me? Hellcat has been all over modern day culture. I've seen it in movies. I've heard it in music. I was watching Shaquille O'Neal was on he was on this podcast, man, Earn Your Leisure podcast. And he was making fun about his son buying his first car and everything. His son was like, I want a Charger, or he actually said, I want a Tesla. And Shaq was like, no, you're getting a Charger. And you're not getting a Hellcat. I'm getting a Hellcat. You getting a V6. So it's one of those things where that Hellcat engine, that Hellcat term in general has become so deep in our fabric as a culture and car culture and culture in general. I think it's pretty much a given that every rapper, ball player gets a Hellcat. Like that, you need that. You know what I'm saying? Nowhere else can you get that much power, that much style and design under $100,000. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty much a given that once you start making some money, you get you a Hellcat. That's a given. It used to be Mercedes, you know what I'm saying, or a Beamer, but now it's a Hellcat, There's no way in hell that Dodge can kill that in a year's time and think that they're going to be profitable. That's not possible. You're literally going to kill what has created a name for you over the last, 5.5, 6 years? You're just going to kill that and just move to the next thing? It doesn't work that way. And the reason that I believe that they're not going to do it is, for one, it's too profitable of an engine. I get the fact that it makes no sense in today's time. It's not efficient. It's terrible on gas. It's terrible on, I would imagine, fumes and shit like that. But I just don't see them getting rid of it. There's no way that they could get rid of it. At least not in a year. 3-4 years down the line, sure. Maybe 5 years down the line, sure. Getting rid of the whole V8 line. But next year, no way. Absolutely not. They would lose so much money. They would lose so much business. It would be ridiculous. Even no matter how much power they put in this all-electric muscle car. There's nothing like this. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing like this. The sound, the power, the rumble. When you start your car and the car shakes. There's nothing like this. That can't be replicated. I mean, I've seen some electric cars, they're putting speakers close to the ears of the passengers and the driver, and it gives you like a synthetic exhaust noise. It's fake. It's cap. You know what I'm saying? Realistically speaking, it just makes no sense for Dodge to get rid of the Hellcat and the Hemi within the next 2 years. That's way too soon. If they want to go all electric, that's cool, but they need to add that as an additional component. They cannot have that as a sole standalone, this is what we're going to ride into the sunset with. It doesn't work that way. It's way too soon. I don't expect the Hellcat to live forever. I understand that, at least not in its current state. But there's no way in hell that you can kill it off in the next year. I think at the end of the day, what Dodge was trying to do is create some sort of sense of urgency to move as many of the big V8s, the Hellcats, the 392s as they possibly can in the next 2 years, so that when they bring the all-electric muscle car out, they're kind of starting with the clean slate. It's like, we gave you everything, now let's slowly but surely move towards the future, right? Everybody already has a Hellcat, they already have a 392, they already have an RT. Let's move to the future, and the future is this. You know what I'm saying? Battery-powered engines, battery-powered cars, I'm sorry. Let's move towards that. But before we do, it's almost like a clearance sale. Let's give you everything that we can. Everything is buy one, get one free. Everything's on clearance. Everything's half off. Create some sort of sense of urgency. If they were going to kill the Hellcat and it was official, I think we would have known by now. A lot of you guys have been buying Chargers and Challengers within the last 6 months to a year. And I'm sure your dealership or your dealer that you're buying from probably has not sat down with you and said, yeah, I heard it from the top. It's really happening. They're dead next year. Nobody has. I haven't. I talked to my homegirl. She hasn't. I talked to my dude up in Lake Norman. He hasn't. It hasn't been, and it's not being communicated, right? It's not being communicated to their sales reps because it's probably just not going to happen. It's probably a lot of hearsay. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of cap. Creating a sense of urgency, creating a market where there was already a market, or creating a demand in the market where there was already a demand in the market, right? I mean, the Dodge Challenger is the most, the highest selling American muscle car as of 2021. It beat the Mustang and the Camaro. You know what I'm saying? Ford won the year before, I think, but by small margins. Ford is going down. Chevy's already down. It's down and it's going further down. Dodge is going up. People are buying Dodges. So you're telling me that you're just going to kick all that shit to the curb next year and go electric? It doesn't make sense. As far as the GT500, the GT350, the ZL1, the C8, the Hellcat engine, the Hellcat automobile, whether it's the Charger or Challenger, is the best selling out of all of those markets. When it comes to, I guess, top tier American muscle car performance, it has always been the Hellcat. It's been the Hellcat for the last 5 years. Nobody's buying GT350s. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's buying Camaro ZL1s. Camaro, it's on its way out. Like, it's dying. Camaro, on the other hand, will be dead in the next 2 years, you know, if not next year. But the Hellcat, not likely. I don't think so. I think it's cap. I think it's a situation where they're just trying to create an even greater demand in a market that already had a demand for a particular car. But I don't see them doing that. I mean, they've got to kill the Trackhawk. They've got to kill the TRX. They've got to kill the Durango Hellcat. They've got to kill the Charger Hellcat, Charger Hellcat Red Eye, Charger Hellcat Jailbreak, Challenger Hellcat Red Eye, Challenger Hellcat Jailbreak. That's millions of dollars in sales right there from all of those cars and those iterations. And you're just going to kill that for this? Good luck, man. I don't see it happening. I think it's cap. But regardless, guys, I mean, that's just how I feel. Talk to me. How do you feel about it? Have you guys heard something from a credible source that I haven't? From a reliable source that I haven't? Everything that I'm getting as far as the Hellcat being dead is coming from the iPhone. You know what I'm saying? Which you all know can be, conjecture at best. But talk to you, boy. As always, like, subscribe, comment. It's been your boy Knockout 360. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.